Hey guys, Jim here. Thanks for checking out my channel. I wanted to do a quick little video, and we all know what that means. Shit, he don't mean no quick video, he means 23 minutes! So yeah, pause the video, let it load for a little bit, let it load in HD, go make a sandwich, have a drink, have a couple of drinks, come back, and then we'll be ready. I got a message today from one of my friends on Facebook, and they were, they don't really get knives. They don't really understand the fascination with collecting. This is one of my friends whom I've also, I've obviously gotten into watches. So they get that. So I said, to put it in those kind of terms, it's the same type of fascination. It's a fascination with the art and craftsmanship, because it really is a blending of science and art to create, a nice high quality watch or a nice high quality knife. And he says, well, what kind of criteria do you use, to figure out what your favorite, what your preferences are, what you choose to buy the most of? And when we were on that subject, I kind of realized that I really have a major preference for flippers. So I figured I'd kind of do a little video here, just kind of talking about my favorite flippers in my collection. This isn't all of them, but this is all I could kind of jack into this little tiny space that I have here available to me. So I thought I'd kind of go through a couple. Most of these you guys already know. Most of these have videos done on them. The Una, the Mikkel Williamson, obviously the Brous, this Brous, the Lightfoot, the Beg, the Tie. And yeah, those all have dedicated videos. So you can just check my channel. I'm not really going to go into detail. But my fascination, I think, with flippers is it's kind of that art and science once again kind of coming together, and the ease of use, as forgetting all the technical crap that goes into it, and the angle that the flipper has to be and how it has to work, the length from the flipper to the fulcrum, and the type of pivot that's being used, and there's so much science that goes into it. That's far beyond me. I don't make knives, so I greatly respect the guys that do. And it always kind of bums me out when I find a knife design that I love and they don't offer a model in a flipper. Case in point, right now I just watched a video that Greg Medford had uploaded for, I guess it was probably 6, 7, 8 months ago. And I guess people have come to him going, hey, we love the Praetorian, which I do as well. I'm praying I'm going to be able to get a shot at the one that's up on that contest right now. By the way, if you happen to subscribe to my channel and you don't have another friend involved in it, go over to Medford Knife and Tools Facebook page and please vote for my picture. I will resort to begging. That's fine, because he's offering a one-of-a-kind full-tie Praetorian that they're not going to make again, and there's no way to buy it. I can obviously afford to buy it, but they're not going to make it. So, and I really don't want to wait a year for any order anyway. So yes, please vote for me. Vote twice if you can. Anyway, so back to the topic, he was mentioning that he really has no interest in making flippers because, well, it's easy to deploy this way and that way. I really have a strong preference for flippers, and it doesn't matter the size of the knife. The very first flipper I ever bought, and I didn't buy it because it was a flipper. Back when I bought this, I just bought it because it was a cool looking knife. Obviously, it's the Kershaw Ken Onion Leak. And, ooh, it didn't want to open that first time, did it? Oh, you sneaky little bastard. So I kind of got into that, and I started buying a lot of spring-assisted knives at the time. I had a whole bunch of other Kershaws. Here's another one. This one came out a couple of years ago. I'll be damned if I can remember what the name of it was. And everybody was going nuts over this thing, and you couldn't find it. You couldn't buy it. And everybody loved it, and everybody was raving about it. And the funniest thing about it was the only place you could buy it, it was a sporting goods store. It was like I want to say Olympic Sporting Goods or something like that. So I had a friend of mine that lived in another state that had one of those stores near them, get it for me, and I had to, PayPal them the money or whatever. It's a cool little knife. It's a great little knife. I think it was all of, I want to say $50, $60. But I really got into spring-assisted knives for a while there. And lately I've kind of gotten into staying away from spring-assisted knives. And there's not that there's anything wrong with them, but my philosophy in everything is the fewer parts that you have, the fewer things can go wrong, right? So if I don't have springs, I don't have anything else going on in there, it's less likely to get screwed up. So even knives that, like Daryl Ralph, when he makes an option of you can buy this knife spring assisted, or this knife manual, I'll generally choose the manual option. And that's where you start getting into the quality. You've got to have the right pivots, you've got to have the right geometry built into it. You look at something like the Silent Soldier folder from Jason Brous. This is an amazing little knife, and he's using a ball bearing system inside of that pivot. But the thing is, unless you know how to flip it, first time you pick it up, you go, what in the hell? What piece of crap is this? It's because you almost have to push it like an on-off switch. You're not going to rock on it like you would the Bodega. I mean, you just barely touch the flipper on a Bodega, and obviously it flies open. These things are just fantastic. And with the Brous, it's more of a push down and push forward action to get it open. So obviously I totally love my Silent Soldier and pretty much everything that Jason does. But, that's really where the quality is going to come into play. When you don't have a spring assisting you, you want the highest quality pivot that you can get, whether it be some sort of the rolling pivot or IKBS or other ball bearing system. I mean, that's really where you're going to find the greatest success. And you're going to generally, and this isn't in every single case, but you're generally going to pay more. I actually had a delightful conversation with Dave Curtis over at Curtis Knives last week, and I ordered my F3 flipper from him, and I cannot wait for that thing to get in. That thing's supposed to fly open like crazy. And we were talking about pivots, and I said, you're using a ceramic ball system in your IKBS, aren't you? He says, actually, there are a couple out there that have them. He says, I decided it really wasn't any smoother. It didn't really give any major benefits over the regular steel bearings that would be used in the Korth system. He says, so I just went back to the regular steel bearings for the IKBS, but I guess there are a couple out there. So anybody out there, because everybody still is under the assumption, because I don't think Dave has made that like a public release. So people are probably still under the assumption that every F3 that's coming out right now has ceramic bearings. So if you got one of the first couple of them and you somehow know for a fact you have the ceramic bearings, yeah, I'd probably stick that back. That might be worth a couple pennies more in the future than the standard regular run-of-the-mill F3s. But we were talking about the smoothness and the swiftness of different operations, and it's a couple of things. It's obviously it's going to be the pivot that's being used, but it's also going to be that all-important detent. If the detent isn't right, it's not going to flip the same. And I'm going to give you a quick example here. This is my Greg Lightfoot full contact flipper. I am completely madly in love with this knife. And just like the Bodega, it takes almost zero effort in which to open it. And you can see even against gravity, barely touching it, having the weight of the blade having to be fought to go up, it still opens like crazy. And the detent on here is fantastic. I mean, it really is. Let's see if we can just do it this way. Oops. It just sucks it back down. So you see the IKBS works very well. It's super smooth. But that detent just pulls it right back in. Now you look at something like this, and you guys have seen the video I did on this. This is my prototype from Mikkel Williamson. He's actually building me 2 more customs right now, and I can't wait to get them. But this was a prototype, so that, when you get into a prototype, that always means there could be something here or there that isn't quite right. And the thing that's not quite right on this one is the detent. And I actually don't want to go whipping it because I'll slam it in my knives. But I can just go like this, and the knife flies open. So the detent is very, very mild on this. But it's using IKBS, so it's super smooth. So I just give it a tiny little bit of wrist action, and I'll get it to lock up nicely. It's a fantastic knife, and it would be perfect if it had the better detent. Now, I've already talked to him about it, and obviously that is not going to be an issue on the production pieces. So I'm actually going to be looking forward to getting one of the production pieces for myself. The Una that I have. Here's another little bit of difference. Obviously, we all know that Yun makes amazing quality knives. I mean, there's just no arguing. Jeez, where the hell did you learn how to talk, boy? There's no arguing the quality that's in his knives. They are astounding, no matter what area of the knife that you're looking at, from the craftsmanship to the steel that he uses to the sharpening. But he's got a weak point. I don't know what pivot's in there, and there's no way in hell for me to open up that proprietary pivot and find out. They don't flip. It is a flipper that does not flip. That's as far as you can get it to go. Even if you do the Brous method where you have to kind of push down and forward, it does not flip. You really have to give it a little bit of thumb. So as astounding and perfect as this knife is, it does have its little tiny things that I would change, and that would be it. So there's going to be varying degrees of quality and varying actions that you're going to be getting out of each one. And that's even more important when you get into a knife like this that has no thumb studs. It is all about the flipper action, period. That's it. This is the Junkyard 2 from Kershaw. This was the limited edition that was done in all titanium. I still dig this knife. I'm actually thinking about selling it. Anybody that has any interest, if you want to message me, I'm willing to sell it. Because I actually have quite a few very special knives on the way that I could probably use the extra cash to pay for. It'd probably help out. But if this didn't have such a good opening, it would be an issue because you have no other way to open this knife without using a second hand. So the quality of the detent, the quality of the pivot, and the geometry of how that blade is sitting in that frame is going to be the important part. And I think that may be part of what draws me to it. I know that in order for this to work, it's got to be good quality. This one I really dig. This is another prototype. This was Daryl Ralph's. Not only was it his prototype, but it was his personal carry. He said he carried this for a couple of months, actually, in his own pocket. So, I mean, how friggin' cool is that? Daryl and I have been friends for a number of years. He is just a true gentleman, a gem of a guy. And this was the prototype he made for the Max Q. And this has his non-glare Radian blade. I love his Radian blades. Look at that. That's got to be a bitch and 2/3 to sharpen. But damn, that sure is hot. So, it's really all about the quality. Sometimes you've got to spend a little bit more money to get into that quality. And sometimes, sometimes you just luck out. Those Junkyard dogs were not that expensive. A lot of the Kershaws that are coming out are fantastic. They're not that expensive. I think Mikkel said the production version of this knife, this cost me $800, but because it's a proto, but I think he said the production version is going to be between $400 and $500 with interchangeable scales. So, obviously it's going to be a lot about the materials. This is blue twill and carbon fiber and all kinds of crazy stuff. This is titanium. But this, it's all G10 with pretty massive, but just one titanium liner for the lock. So this is obviously going to be a lot more affordable than some of the others. So everybody's going to have their preference. And yeah, if I had my way, I'd call up Greg Medford tomorrow and demand a friggin' Praetorian flipper, gosh darn it. But I don't think he'd really react well to that kind of thing. So I'm just going to be patient, wait for him to finally do it. Until then, I'm just going to get on the order list for a regular Praetorian and just be damn glad I was able to get anything. Damn it, that's the way it should be, I suppose. But, this is just a look at some of the flippers I got. I love flippers. It tends to be what I reach for most often when I carry. I have no problem carrying a good quality knife that just has a thumb stud on it. Doesn't bother me at all. But I just seem to prefer flippers. And I really can't give 100% solid reason, except for I like the operation and I like the feeling of it. I like the feeling of just giving a little flick with the magic finger, a little flick, and it flies right open. And this is still the one that surprises me the most. Big ass 5-inch blade, and this is the best flipper. And you see, I've got some fairly decent stuff here. This is going to be less than or about half the price of some of the ones sitting here. And the flipping on this is just totally insane. If you haven't seen the video I did on this one yet, please go check it out. I actually talked to Jason last night, And he's like, dude, man, this is what I was worried about with you making a video and when you were going to upload it. He's like, I am getting hammered and hammered and hammered about when these are going to get manufactured and when they're going to be released. I'm like, dude, just open up a crazy pre-order. Start the pre-order now. Yeah, he's probably 4 or 5 months away from ever releasing these, but I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys would be happy to you know, I don't know, 20% deposit. I don't know how he would work it, but just to be able to get your hands on something like this, to do a long pre-order like that. If you have that interest, and boy, this is going to piss him off. If you have an interest, go over to his website or go over to his Facebook page and say, hey, Jim sent me over. I want to do a pre-order on the Divine Flipper. And force him into it. Force him into it. Put him in a headlock. Put him in a virtual reality headlock through email and make him do it. And then he can text me and bitch me out. And you son of a bitch. Anyway, so this is all I want to talk about. Just a very general thing. I love flippers. Again, I can't put my finger on it. You see what I did there? So let me know what you think. Post down in the comments and let me know if you prefer flippers or not, and why or why not. I'd love to hear it. Maybe it'll knock some sense into me. Maybe I can figure out what the hell my obsession is with them, because I know the next 4 or 5 knives that I'm picking up, they're all going to be flippers too. So by the way, you just can't get an easier operation. Well, you can, automatic, and I have that addiction as well, and that's in other videos. But yeah, so leave me a comment, let me know what you think and what your preferences are. I would really love to hear them. Anyway, thank you again so much to all my new subscribers. You guys are really awesome. I'm loving the comments. I'm trying to keep up and I'm trying to respond as quickly as I can. You guys really all rock, and I really appreciate the support. I know it sounds silly. I've only got, 15, 16 videos or whatever, and it's not like I have 10,000 subscribers, but I really do appreciate all you guys jumping over and checking me out and all the wonderful feedback that I've gotten. So I guess that's pretty much it for tonight. Thank you again, and I'll talk to you soon.